Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Virgo for August 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out my blog. If you're interested in learning astrology for your own self-development or as part or all of a professional offering, then maybe you will love my astrology apprenticeship program. You can check that out along with my coach certification and online business course on my website. So what's going on in the month of August? For Virgos, we have birthdays for you early Virgo placements. For those of you who are watching for your rising sign, we have for you early placements, we have the sun crossing over your ascendant. That's a big time. We also have eclipses, which are the dominating theme of this month. So we're going to talk about the places where you are likely to experience radical transformation from these eclipses for you, particularly as your Virgo sign, whether it's your rising or sun sign. And then I'll talk in general about the implications of the Leo Aquarius eclipses and how the general effects might affect you, as well as some other aspects and transits that are going on this month that you'll definitely feel. So when we have eclipse time, we have a massive showing of that universal principle that energy is not created nor destroyed, it just changes form. At eclipse time, often something is taken away energetically, something closes out, something reaches its culmination, its ending, and then in its place, equal energy comes in and brings something new in a different arena of life. Lunar eclipses can be very dramatic. We know that full moons are emotional and dramatic. And when we have a lunar eclipse with the full moon, it takes on those effects in triplicate. So the coming to completions, the endings, the drama, the happy tears, the sad tears, all of those are likely to be times 3, either 3 different notable events or a very big something. So for the early degree placements and some of the middle degree placements, this culmination, drama, chapter closing is going to occur in the 6th house. So just a reminder of your placements. The early degree placements are those that are the first 10 degrees of the sign, or the 10 days of the sign. Also, if you're watching for your rising sign, it's the first 10 degrees of the sign, so 0 through 9 degrees for your rising sign. The middle degree placements are the second 10 days in the sun sign, and then the late degree placements are the last 10 days. The middle degree placements for rising sign are 10 to 19 degrees, and then the later degree placements are 20 to 29 degrees. So you can figure out where you are in there based on your placements. So now, the early and middle degree placements are likely going to feel the effects of the lunar eclipse in the 6th house. So some closing, something happening notable in your workplace, in your daily routine. It could be a health crisis or a health breakthrough. And the same thing at work. It could be a work crisis or it could be a work breakthrough or both. The energy of the lunar eclipse tends to be associated with some sort of crisis that corresponds with the subsequent breakthrough. So sometimes we have to experience the bubbling up of the energy before we can actually do something different with it. So the 6th house also rules animals and pets. So a pet could need attention at this time, or you could just be, feeling closer to the pet and getting to do things more with them. There's something notable going on in the pet sector. This is a very wonderful time for you to end a way of being as far as it relates to your diet, your exercise regimen, how you've been managing your health. For those people who are trying to chase this enigmatic series of health issues, maybe you will end the way you've been doing that and open up to some new possibilities. People who are working in the mainstream might decide they open to some alternative things. People working in the alternative realms might decide to get some mainstream diagnostics and treatments involved. But there's something that's ending there. If you have any symptoms or anything that has been bothering you as far as your health, it would be a great time to go get them checked out because the full moon tends to bring things to light. So if there's something there to be found, often the full moon can reveal something that was going on unconsciously or undercover out into the open. This is a wonderful time to end anything as far as how you do your business. If you're not doing things efficiently, if you're working in places that don't work for you, anything about your work life schedule that isn't working for you, this is a wonderful time to end the old way of being and then to have the seeds planted for a new way of being. The solar eclipses bring in new energy. Oh, before I get there, actually, there's two things before I get there. I want to talk about where the rest of the middle degree and late degree placements will experience the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, which is the 5th house. So the closing out of energy, the ending, the culmination, the drama, the completion will likely occur for some of the middle degree placements and the late degree placements then in the 5th house. The 5th house has to do with children, everything from conception, pregnancy, childbirth, child rearing, any interactions having to do with children, your own or others. It can also have to do with any creative project. So you could be closing out a creative project, or your child could be graduating, or there's any number of ways that a chapter could close in that arena of your life. Or a child could need attention. Something could be calling out for attention, and from the attention, information is brought into the light, or from the event, information is pulled out from the darkness into the light. The 5th house is also the house of hobbies and fun and romance and true love. So there could be something notable, a chapter ending in a romantic relationship. And sometimes this could be something as simple as you have a romantic relationship, now you're pregnant, and the way you had your romantic relationship without having a child is now completely different, and you're entering a new chapter within your romantic relationship. So there's an ending and a beginning, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's a sad, bittersweet time where there's this wonderful new thing opening, but then there's something that's ending because of it, a way of being. These chapters closing, some people will experience them as actual relationships ending, someone leaving your life in that sector. But many people will have the same usual suspects around in their lives, but it will just be moving into a new chapter of experience with that person, with that same person or same people. Okay, so then the second thing I wanted to talk about before I get into the solar eclipses is birthdays. Birthdays are one of the most exciting astrological events. The universe is very rarely more receptive to your desires than on your birthday, because the sun in the sky, in the chart, in your being, represents what you want, what makes you burn the brightest. So when the sun in the sky gets back to the same point as it was at in your chart, a portal opens. And even though this is a little different when you're talking about your rising sign, there is still a portal that opens when the sun crosses over your ascendant. It is still a new cycle, and it does still carry a lot of new rebirth energy. So you get birthday wishes on your birthday. This is astrological. Brilliant astrologer Jan Spiller says you get 10. I don't know why it's 10. I never did look into it. I just have always done that. And you can look further into that if you'd like, but if you want to use the birthday power from this portal being opened, check out my video called Making Wishes Come True, which talks about using astrological power periods like birthdays in order to move yourself along a continuum where your desires are manifesting more readily. So check that out, and happy birthday. Okay, so now let's talk about the solar eclipse energies. The solar eclipse opens up new energy, new possibilities, new options within triplicate. I'm calling the theme of this month for all Virgos, mind mastery. I have never met a person with prominent Virgo energy that was not a worrier. This is an energy that goes along with Virgo. Virgo equals worry, worry equals Virgo, pretty much, It's, these are, my Virgo friends are the ones they've got their furrows. When they start to get lines, they get the furrow lines on their face from worrying and being concerned. Virgo energy is very wrought with worry. It's human nature to worry, but Virgos have an extra dose of this. The solar eclipse, the opening of new energy for all Virgos, early, middle, and late degree, are going to very profoundly affect your 12th house. Very late degree placements, you might have a little bit of opening energy as well in your 11th house, but even you will still have this very strong energy in the 12th house. So I'm putting my focus there for this topic of mind mastery. When you worry about things, a lot of the things you worry about don't happen. But some of the things you worry about happening happen because you were worrying about them. So this solar eclipse, this new opening of energy in your 12th house, your psychological mind, gives you an amazing opportunity for a psychological breakthrough. If you're a Virgo who has been depressed, who is medicated, who is, sad or has mental issues, or even physical issues, or any issues for that matter, you have an amazing opportunity with this eclipse to make a major and permanent breakthrough. It might require you to do something different, stay connected with your medical practitioners as this is going on. But the energy of breakthrough and new mind mastery and fear mastery is very profoundly all over the chart for you. You have to slay your own dragons and conquer your fears in order to live a peaceful life. And you have a very good chance to do that at this time. So those late degree placements who have a little bit of that energy in the 11th house, you could see some new opportunities come in a large organization, with a team, either leading a team or being on a team, social circles, friends, friendships, acquaintances, networking. It could also have something to do with a humanitarian effort, something new opening there. So look forward to the new possibilities, but remember that sometimes, the change, it can be a little bit stressful, and it takes an adjustment on your part and an openness to be able to do something different. So just be awake to the possibilities that could be directing you on a path of more freedom and peace of mind. Okay, so those are the things that are most on my mind for Virgo placements. Now I want to talk about the general effects of the eclipses as they relate to the Leo and eclipse polarity, which is going to affect all people. And then also how the other aspects and transits of the month will very likely show up to affect you in the days that those are going on, etc. So the eclipses definitely dominate the astrological scene for August for all signs, but there are other aspects that I want to talk about that will affect you as well, and this will affect all signs. Right from the beginning, we've got Jupiter in Libra square Pluto in Capricorn. This is the third time that this has happened. The first time was November 24th of 2016. The second pass was March 30th of 2017. And here on August 4th, we have the final chapter. So this has been an ongoing saga having to do with the challenges of connecting with people in order to bring about something into the world. Jupiter in Libra has to do with relationships. Pluto in Capricorn has to do with business and things in the outer view, the public eye. And a square is a conflicted angle. So that means there's something to push through in order to get to the outcome. So the impetus lies in the aspect and also the blocks, so that's what brings the frustration, is that there's this pressure to join together and get something out into the world. But then the blocks and the challenges are also wrapped up in the transit. So there should be some resolution, some final conclusion here. One of the pieces is going to have to do with competition. Whenever we subscribe to the third dimensional belief in competition, there always creates this hamster wheel angst that you never really get out of. But one of my favorite teachers, Florence Scovel Shin, always says, or said, as I read her work, she's passed now a long time ago, there's no competition on the spiritual planes. And that's true. Infinite Spirit has a purpose for us that only we can fill. And you can take marketing data into consideration, you can take third dimensional realities into consideration. But ultimately, what you do in this world has to do with you and Infinite Spirit and your purpose. So the more you can ease into that higher vibrational view of this, whatever you're merging together to do to bring out into the world, you're going to have a much better experience and much better outcomes. So even though I give you the dates of these transits, remember that you can always have the possibility to feel the energies in a manifestation before or after that date. Okay, so don't hang your hat too heavily on the dates that I give you. So also important to note that I am giving you information about specific transits, as I always do, but you can get a more detailed write-up of the general transits that affect everyone when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. I send out a month early a written version of the summary of the energy of the month ahead, along with some highlights. If you have signed up for my newsletter already and you're not getting it, I send it out every month early, like clockwork, usually a month early. So if you're not getting it, it's probably going into social promotions, events folder or something like that. So check in there, spam, check in there and move it back into your inbox so that you can get them in a timely basis. Okay, so we talked about the eclipses at length as far as the individual effects for the signs, but we do have general effects for the eclipses as well. The first one is on August 7th. It's a full moon lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Aquarius. We're moving along this continuum that started at the beginning of 2017 that has to do with a reshuffling of energy in the arenas of large organizations, humanitarian efforts, internet-based projects, teams, groups, friendships, circles, whatever kind of circles you find yourself in. That's all Aquarius. So some sort of reshuffling of energy. Some people will be focusing more in those realms, and some people will be focusing more on their own individual desires against the societal norms, which we'll talk about when we get over to the solar eclipse for later in the month. But this lunar eclipse is coming packing a lot of punch because the event also opposes Mars, which increases the likelihood of some sort of conflicted ending or a conflicted completion. Full moon eclipses tend to bring lots of drama, lots of emotion, and some sort of culmination, an ending or something coming to fruition. But with that aspect with Mars, it could be a conflicted ending. There's also a simultaneous nice aspect with Saturn that could bring very positive and strong foundation for present and future security. And there's an additional trine with Jupiter. Anything having to do with a wonderful aspect with Jupiter always is going to bring more enthusiasm, more hope, more faith, and expanded outcomes. So we've got some sweet aspects on the 10th and 11th and 12th. Then on the 12th and 13th, depending on which time zone you're in, Mercury is going to go into retrograde, and that will be at 11 degrees of Virgo. Mercury goes retrograde 3 or 4 times a year. So we really spend half of our lives in one part of the retrograde transit, either the shadow period that occurs before or the shadow period that occurs after or the actual retrograde. You can look at my video called Mercury Retrograde if you do a search for Annie Botticelli, Mercury Retrograde. I talk about the do's and don'ts and the understandings that it's important to carry. But basically, a lot of pressure is put on weak links that already exist with communication devices, mobility, transportation devices. So any weak links that are there are going to be turned up, so old things that were swept under the rug as far as communication often just blow right out to be dealt with. And often things, people, ideas from the past roll in now for reconsideration. It's not always the best time to make the long-term decision if you can help it. So even though these eclipses and retrograde are going to bring some things right into the forefront, if you can wait until later into September, like at least mid to end September to really commit to a longer term situation, that would be better because you're not going to have all the information. Okay, so we've got a nice aspect with the Sun and Saturn on August 13th where your desires receive enthusiastic support. The 15th we've got, and actually there's another aspect with Venus on the 24th. So there are 2 challenging aspects with Venus this month, the 15th and the 24th, that are going to bring, some tension either with self-esteem, aesthetics, appearance, romance, your relationships in general of any kind, or money. So there's pressure put on Venus this month, and you'll see that come up in little or big ways. Then we have a nice aspect on August 20th with the Sun trining Uranus. So sometimes sudden insights and exhilarating awarenesses or experiences could come in with that. On the 21st, we've got this very powerful new moon solar eclipse at almost 29 degrees of Leo. So this is the second new moon in Leo that we have, which adds a lot of power. Also, new moon solar eclipses are like new openings in triplicate, just as full moons are closings, endings, drama, conclusions, 3 times as powerful as a regular full moon. The new moon eclipses have the opening energies and the new energies 3 times that of a regular new moon. And this is a beautiful new moon. We've got a beautiful aspect with Uranus, which brings, more surprises, happy surprises than we have a beautiful aspect with Saturn, which brings, again, this long-term stable factor, which seems to be a theme this month, like certain things starting to click in for future security. And so when you have a solar eclipse, it's an opening. And when you have a solar eclipse in Leo, it has to do with openings in creativity. So anything having to do with children. But for some people, their creative projects are their children. So whether you're conceiving a child or conceiving a creative idea, that process of conception to pregnancy to birth to child or project rearing is all dominated by Leo. So there's going to be lots of new openings there. And for people who already have children, new experiences and, dimensions of parenting. There's also energy associated with athleticism, acting, modeling, directing, fun hobbies, true love. Many, many, many people are going to enter new dimensions of romance with this aspect, which is really exciting. So we've got that on the 21st, and on the 22nd, we have Mars in Leo trining Saturn and Sag. And again, this is a nice boost where action and outcomes blend beautifully. We've got a nice aspect on August 23rd to the 24th with Venus and Chiron, which shows that when we do emotional inner work, in those places where we're wounded, it brings positive gains. On the 24th, so simultaneously with this nice aspect with Chiron, we have a square with Uranus. I alluded to this earlier when I talked about the difficult aspect with Venus on the 15th. When Venus squares Uranus, the bringer of change in a feisty expression in Aries, makes an uncomfortable angle to love, money, and aesthetics. So there's many ways that can look, So definitely having the Venus in Cancer is going to promise emotional jostling from this unpredictable Uranus energy. August 25th, Saturn goes direct at 21 degrees of Sag. This officially ends the break that we've had as Saturn was in retrograde. Saturn is a chop buster. That's what I always call Saturn. Saturn wants discipline. It's a taskmaster, and it wants organization, and it wants hard work. And that type of energy doesn't blend well with Sagittarius, the sign that it's in, because Sag is all about free flowing and, not being consistent and all the things that we love about Sagittarius don't mix well with the energy of Saturn. So we've had a break from Saturn kind of forcing us to take these big Sag ideals and dreams and do the hard work, consistent work for bringing those dreams down into the third dimension. We've had a little break from that, but now the break is over. So for the rest of the year, we're going to have to get our nose back to the grindstone and take the daily steps to bringing the dreams into fruition. So, when Saturn moves through Sag, it's also a serious faith tester, so we've got the rest of the year for Saturn to sort of weigh heavy on faith, but the more you can stay connected to faith throughout this Saturn transit, the better it will be. And then we end off with a nice aspect with the Sun and Mercury, but that can also mean some powerful criticism, the same aspects that can be something positive, like some bright news, when the Sun and Mercury join together, they enhance each other's qualities. There could be some powerful news that comes in, but Virgo is also really critical. So there could be some harsh criticism that comes in too. So just keep your head up with that. So if you would love to have astrology, to learn astrology in a visceral way, a way that helps you to blend more naturally with the planetary rhythms, then maybe you'll love to take my astrology apprenticeship program. You can see more about it on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Click on Work With Me. Whether you want to use astrology for your own personal developments or to help your friends and family and yourself to understand karmic patterns, understand what your highest expression is in this lifetime and how you overcome the karmic patterns to step into that, even if you want to do it professionally, then check out my astrology apprenticeship program. If you'd like to be a coach, a wellness coach, a business coach, a spiritual coach of any kind, helping people to reach their goals, then maybe you will love my coach course, which is also enrolling. And that's also combined with my online business course so that you can help create a presence online and develop your coaching business for an online basis. So check that out, AnnieHelpsYou.com. Also check out my husband B.R. Newman's new tarot reports for each sign. You can look him up, B.R. Newman, Neumann. IamHelios.com is his website. So you can see what he says about your sign as far as the tarot report, and that supplements what I've just shared with you. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.